I'm glad to welcome our next guest, Ms. Shailaja, who is a versatile being. She's an author, certified integral yoga and Manasa yoga teacher, TV host and speaker. She grew up in Coimbatore, India, but she is based in Malaysia. She has over 20 years of teaching experience and is the founder of Mat and Am Beyond Yoga Studio. She hosted Yoga Shakti, a TV series on Anand TV based in UK. She conducts online asana and pranayama and Dhyana classes in UK and USA. Over the years, she has been invited to speak at several educational institutions and organizations in Malaysia, India, and USA. She has been featured in leading newspapers in India. Ms. Shailaja hosts podcasts on Facebook with eminent personalities in yoga and Vedanta. She is a passionate advocate of mental wellness through the tools of yoga, including asana, pranayama, dhyana, mantra, and yoga sutra philosophy. And she seeks to share that knowledge through every platform available to her. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Ms. Shailaja.
Namaste, everyone. So, first of all, I would like to thank all of you for being here with me. And I would also like to offer my gratitude to United Consciousness Conclave 2021 for giving me this wonderful opportunity to be here and to share my love for yoga. The yoga practice has literally shaped my life over the years, and it is something that I am extremely grateful for. And because of that, I'm extremely happy to share whatever I have learned over these last 22 years. Now, before we start, as I've been teaching for over 20 years now, I have had many questions on meditation. Now, today I'm going to be guiding you through a meditation session, which is going to be based on the Anahata or the heart chakra. But before that, to just give a little bit of context on meditation, I would just like to say that meditation and yoga are not separate practices. Yeah, because always I keep getting questions from my students: do you teach yoga or do you teach meditation? Like they're two separate practices. But according to the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, the meditation is actually the seventh limb of the Ashtanga Yoga that he has laid out for the sadhakas or practitioners on the path. So we have before that the yamas, the niyamas, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, and then we come to meditation, now which is called dhyana. Now, the other thing that I want to touch upon is that today yoga, meditation have all become huge marketing jargons, right? World over, these words are used to market a lot of things, including I think there's yoga beer as well, so or beer yoga. So just to bring it back to the context that meditation as well today is being so easily marketed as something that you just sit in a corner, close your eyes, and you're doing meditation. But to bring it back to the original context of the practice, which is through the scriptures and the sutras, if you look at the meditation practice, really it is about all of these different aspects being integrated into that 20 minutes that we sit every day. Yeah, so we think that it's just that 20 minutes, but actually, every single thought that we have during the day, every single action that we do during the day, all of that is reflected in that 20 minutes that we sit for our meditation practice. Yeah, so it is so important to understand that all of these different limbs of the yoga practice should be integrated into our everyday lives for our meditation to actually bear fruit. Yeah, the other thing is that meditation, we keep saying, I do meditation. But according to the ancient sages, meditation is not something that we can do. Meditation is like a state that we receive. But like gardeners, right, what we can do is cultivate the soil of our consciousness to make it fertile to receive the blossoms of meditation. Yeah, so like a gardener, we too have to create that fertile environment by removing the weeds, yeah, in our garden, yeah, the garden of our mind. And these weeds are what we call the shatrupos. And all of them, kama, krodha, moha, mada, matsarya, all of them go into creating anger, ill will, greed, desire to get back at people, revenge. All of that is what, when we sit for our meditation practice, will be clouding our minds. Yeah, so we have to be conscious of all of these different elements, and we also have to be putting in fertilizer, right? Like how a gardener puts in fertilizer into the mind, we also have to put in that fertilizer into our mind by bringing in, again, according to Maharishi Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras, he gives these beautiful, what he calls the Chatur Bhavana, yeah, Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekshanam, which is friendliness, goodwill to all, and compassion to all beings, as well as a very beautiful quality of upekshanam, which is also called equanimity. And this again is reiterated by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, where one of the most famous definitions of yoga is samatvam yoga uchyate, which is also that similar principle of that equanimity of mind, that evenness of mind and temperament. So all of this has to be installed into our everyday lives as well. It has to be, kind of, what do you say, like how a gardener puts it into, planted into our, the minds of our, the consciousness, so that eventually those beautiful flowers of meditation can arise. So with this, I'd like to start the practice. It's a guided meditation practice, and I would request all of you to understand that this is really all about the mind. Yeah, this is mind work. So when you step into the practice, the first thing that we have to do is take a step back and witness our thoughts objectively, right? So the what I tell my students is like how we sit in a theater and we witness a movie, right, playing out in front of us. And that movie has all these different casts. It has heroes, heroines, villains, supporting casts. Similarly, we too have to sit back, take a step back from the mind, and simply objectively witness the mind. And then, and this state is called sakshi bhava. Yeah, and when we are in that witnessing state, or that state of witnessing consciousness, then we can see all of these different characters in our lives. So we see the movie of our lives, yeah, playing out in the screen of our minds. And we see heroes and heroines and supporting casts and all of this playing out, and the movie is our own lives. Yeah, so, and that is so important to do. It is so important to develop that capacity to objectively witness our minds, because only then can we be objective about our lives and the situations that we are in. As long as we are compulsively and obsessively caught up with our minds, and we believe we are the minds, we are stuck in it. Yeah, to be able to become unstuck, to be able to release ourselves from that uh, very deep tight grip of the compulsions of the mind, we need to be able to be objective. We need to be able to take a step back, and we need to be able to access that state of the witness consciousness, sakshi bhava. So as we step into the practice, please try to connect to this, and also know that the whole practice is about focus, it is about concentration, it is about attention. So as we go deeper into the limbs of yoga as well, if you see dharana, dhyana, samadhi, all of this requires that very deep focus. Yeah, that capacity to work with our minds, the capacity to direct our minds, the capacity to have some semblance of ability to control the direction of our minds. Yeah, and before all of that, that basic understanding that when we are unconscious, we are always enslaved by the minds. Yeah, so the yoga path is really a path of freedom. Yeah, to be able to get a release from the grip of the samskaras and vasanas that usually have such a tight grip over our lives, and to be able to consciously put in new patterns. And for all of this, one, we need to have that awareness of the mind where we are right now, and two, that capacity to consciously direct our minds. Yeah, so this is the practice, this is what we're going to do. So it's important for me to say all this so that you know what this is about. And I'm going to lead you through a practice called the Atha 16, which is taught in the Manasa Yoga style that I teach, and which my teacher Manoj Kaimal, he was inspired from the Gharanda Samhita, one of the scriptures of the yoga, to to get this practice. Yeah, so we're going to go over 16 points. Most of them are either chakras, energy centers, or bindu points, which are focal points of consciousness. And eventually, we're going to come to the heart, and we're going to connect with the rest of the universe through that heart space. Yeah. So just close your eyes and just objectively witness your mind. Yeah, so just ask yourself, this is a question that we ask ourselves from time to time. Know that your yoga practice is not just this 10 minutes that we do, whether in class or in a session. It's really a 24-hour continuous practice that goes on. Yeah, so all of this that I'm telling you now is something that you can take back into your everyday lives. So just be aware of your mind. Where is your mind? What is it caught up in? Who is it caught up with? Right? And then we connect not just to objectively seeing, right, where is the mind and what the mind is doing, which is very important as well. And then we can also connect to a more subtle aspect of the practice, which is connecting to the energy state of the mind, right? So when we connect to the mind, what is the energy of the mind, right? Is the energy lifted? Is the energy low? All of this we can see through regular practice, through connecting. Okay, and then we go into the Atha 16 practice with the awareness that we are not just the limited selves that we believe we are. We are not just only the body that we are so obsessed with. That in the Vedanta practice they talk about the different koshas, yeah, which is the Annamaya, the Pranamaya, the Manomaya. So basically all of this is the layer of the body, the layer of the energy, the layer of the mind, the layer of the intellect, Vijnanamaya, and then there is the Anandamaya, the layer of bliss. So we are all of these different layers, and we make an attempt through the practice to connect to at least some of them. So as you become aware of your body, consciously directing your attention to your right big toe, just sensing. So we sense first the physicality of that area, which is the Annamaya, and then we also try to connect to the energy component. So initially, maybe these words won't make much sense. We probably can't connect to energy, but as we keep with the practice, yeah, as we continuously connect to these concepts, different aspects of our being will begin to open up to us. Become aware of your pelvic floor. So just sensing your pelvic floor, the front of your pelvic floor, the back of your pelvic floor, the middle of the pelvic floor. So just bringing your attention, and even if you don't really connect to any of these areas, just being in the path, just being with the practice, right? That is the yoga practice. From thinking of 100 different things, you're directing your mind to connect to specific aspects. From Shipta to Ekagrata. So in that pelvic floor, you're connecting to the Muladhara space, yeah, which is the root chakra. So just sensing all of that. Become aware of the middle of your upper pelvis. So you can connect to your navel, and that lower abdominal space below the navel is the area of the Swadhisthana space. So just becoming aware of that space, just bringing your attention to all of these different areas. Become aware of the navel, right? Just so here you're connecting to two capacities. Yeah, one is that capacity to consciously move your mind where you choose. Okay, so remember I said we're enslaved by the mind. So usually the mind decides where to go. But here you are establishing some control over the mind by directing your mind consciously to different areas. And then you're also developing that capacity to hold your attention. So just holding your attention at the navel space, the space of Manipura. Become aware of the heart space, Anahata. So moving your mind consciously, moving your attention consciously. Just sensing that heart space, that beautiful space of Anahata. Become aware of the throat, Vishuddhi. Just sensing the throat space. Okay, and then exploring different points here. Some of them are Bindu points. So become aware of the back wall of your mouth. Okay, and even if they're unfamiliar to you, it's actually more interesting because it requires more attention. So really honing in on your attention, attuning to all of these different areas and sensing that shift in your state of mind to a more focused, attentive state. The root of your tongue, the tip of your tongue, just really tasting all of these areas. Let them not be just words, but felt experiences. The tip of your nose, the bridge of your nose, the center of your forehead. Okay, and again, this is another very beautiful, very important chakra space, the space of Agnya. Just holding your attention there for a while. And as you explore that space, connecting first to the, finding that location first, the physicality of it, the Annamaya, and then trying to delve into that Pranamaya, trying to sense the energy component there. And as you keep your attention there, you can feel a little buildup of energy. And if you don't, that's perfectly okay as well. Like I said, all of these are continuous practices built over years of practice. And then become aware of the space inside your skull, just sensing that inner space. And then slowly directing your attention to the crown of your head, which is the space of the Sahasrara chakra, the 1,000-petal lotus or the thousands of petal lotus. So knowing that while you have a physical body, the layer of the Annamaya, you also have an energy body, the subtle body, which has all of these energy centers and bindu points. And through all of this, we connect to that universal consciousness. Now bring your attention to the heart space, the space of Anahata, through which we connect to the space and the hearts of all other beings as well. So that primordial beat in the heart is also what beats in all other hearts as well. So just sensing that beautiful space of Anahata. And in your mind's eye, visualizing in the heart space the mandala of the Anahata, which is a six-sided dark blue hexagon made up of two interlaced triangles, one pointing upward and the other downward. And all of these are such beautiful references. The triangle pointing upwards denotes our connection to the universe, while the triangle pointing downwards reflects our embodiment as human beings. So to know that we have the capacity to be able to connect to more than ourselves. And we have the capacity to build relationships with other people in our families, in our localities, in our countries. And eventually we have the capacity to connect to the universe. All of this lies in that beautiful space of the heart. So just continuing to stay here, connecting to beautiful elements of the heart space, the qualities of unconditional love, gratitude, appreciation, the ability to connect deeply with ourselves and others, the ability to build bridges and tear down walls. All of this arises from the beautiful space of the Anahata. And here we connect to the Bija mantra of the Anahata, which is Yam. But when we produce that sound, at the Vaikari level, the level that can be heard, it is pronounced as young with a G. So we just chant that 3 times using the sound of the ahata, which is a created sound, to connect to the anahata, which is that primordial sound. So, in order to chant, inhale deeply, and then as you exhale with the yang. 3 rounds of this. And then we sit in silence to connect to the vibrations of the Bija Mantra. Yang. 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 Now staying with the sound of silence as you connect to the vibrations of the beautiful and the sacred Bija Mantra. Shifting your consciousness from the gross to the subtle, from what is heard to what is unheard, from what is seen to the unseen, from what is not present to the ever present. Visualizing that beautiful space of the heart where the presiding deity is Ishvara and the feminine energy is Kakini. In the scriptures it is said, that it is in the heart space that whoever we may consider as our God resides, that supreme universal reality, that infinite intelligence, that realm of infinite possibilities. We connect to all of that in that heart space. That space of the anahata. And as we breathe in and out, we connect to that Ajapa Gayatri or the Soham, which can also be Ahamsa, I am. So each time you inhale, just mentally chanting Aham, I am, as we connect to that individual identity that we are. And as you exhale, mentally repeating Sa, that universal consciousness I am too, that we all are. So there is a beautiful visualization of the ocean and the wave. So like the wave arises from the ocean, we too arise from that individual consciousness, Aham. And like that wave flows back into the ocean, we too eventually go back to our universal consciousness state. Sa. So just for a few breaths, mentally repeating that, visualizing the ocean and the waves, connecting to that state of universal consciousness. And I'd just like to close the session with a beautiful Gayatri mantra for the chakra. Om Tanmaheshaya Vidmahe Mahadevaya Dhimahi Tanno Rudra Prachodayat. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Lokha Samastha Sukhino Bhavantu Sarve Janaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Hari Om Tat Sat. Namaste all.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Shailaja ji, for wonderful guided meditation. I'm sure the vibrations of united consciousness, vibrations of us being together in consciousness through you will reach to millions in future. Thank you very much for being with us today, for guiding us through a wonderful meditation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
On behalf of United Consciousness, I thank Ms. Shailaja for coming onto the platform of United Consciousness. Thank you so much.